Welcome to We Are Montgomery Township, the podcast where we keep you informed and engaged about what's happening in Montgomery Township in Montgomery County.
Welcome to We Are Montgomery Township, a podcast for those who want to listen and learn more about Montgomery Township. My name is Carolyn McCreary. I'm the Township Manager. With me today, I have Officer Jason English, our Community Resource Officer. Jason, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we start talking about the Citizens Police Academy, which I know is near and dear to your heart, tell us how you got here, how you got to this role.
Okay. So I was about 24 years old, and I had been doing mixed martial arts for about 4 years at that point. And I was helping out with a women's self-defense seminar. And on one of the breaks, I was talking to one of the other instructors, and they were telling me how they were going through the police academy. And it kind of really touched my heart. And I thought for the first time, I was like, man, I never thought about being a police officer before, but I would really like to help the public and help people. That's what I wanted to do. And so I had started to put myself through the police academy full time, which was about 6 months, and then ended up getting picked up by you guys about 6 months later. So it's been a little over 15 years ago, and here I am today.
So how did you get into supporting our outreach functions with the police?
Yeah, I think it really started from day one, just through that kind of energy that I have, really fun, outgoing, loving, kind, caring. And I just carried that through not only in my personal life, but in professionally in my career. And I think they saw that from day one, to be honest with you. And I remember every year they would ask me, hey, are you interested in doing, being the community relations officer at some point? And I always said, yeah, definitely. I see that down the road, but I really enjoyed patrol at the time. And so an opportunity presented itself in 2024 when Officer Johnson retired, and I applied for it and got it. And here ever since.
Now here you are. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about the Citizens Police Academy today.
Okay.
So how long does it run? Can you tell me a little bit about the program, and then we'll get into some more questions with it?
Sure. So it's once a week, and we do it for about 2 hours, and it lasts for 8 weeks is the program essentially.
And what is it?
So it's what we kind of talk about the first day. We kind of do like an introduction about the history of the police department. We actually talk about Officer David Hancock when he lost his life in the line of duty on December 11th, 1976. And then we talk about other things like red light cameras, the new Crime Watch page that we have, and various other topics from our detective highway unit, canine unit, defensive tactics. We do some traffic stops and other things.
So how many participants are typically in a class, ideally?
There's about 20 that show up, give or take, every year.
Is there a cost for a resident to attend?
No, there's no cost. It's free.
Okay. And is it offered multiple times a year or?
Just once a year. And we usually do it around the springtime, like this month, March or April.
Okay. So what are your main goals to have this? Why have a Citizens Police Academy? We have a website. We do podcasts. What can people get from this that they can't just from sort of a peripheral learning about what we do here at the township?
I think it gives people a different perspective, and it also really fosters good relationships. Those are the two key things that we try to make sure that that's our goal every year.
One of the goals I had for this year overall was to try to humanize local government more. So we're doing it with our social media. We did last year, we were doing Meet Our Team Mondays. I don't know if you participated, and if you didn't, we'll probably be talking about that. But okay. It was that, you're more than just a badge. You're more than just a number on the radio. So in my mind, it's a really good opportunity for people to understand that, the people who are serving this community are also part of communities. They have families, they have loved ones, they have the same, trials and tribulations that everybody does, and you don't always get to put it aside simply because you put the uniform on and you come to work.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So how do you think it helps improve communication and even trust between the police and the community? It ebbs and flows. We had instances in the past, obviously, where, nationally the dialogue changed as far as, the way people saw law enforcement. We had 9/11 and everybody wanted to be either in law enforcement or the military. And then, unfortunately, we had the George Floyd situation. Everybody sort of took a step back and said, are you guys really the good guys? So, how does the Citizens Police Academy help foster this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the Citizens Police Academy is a great opportunity for both sides to build relationships, and we share experiences pretty much every class. There's a lot of questions that are asked, and I really feel like we kind of, when we get down into these topics and they ask questions, it just builds, and we're able to feed off of each other, and it builds that camaraderie. This will be my third year teaching the Citizens Police Academy, and I absolutely love it because there's people I know on a first name basis that when I see them walking or at another store in town, it's just like I say hi to them, I check in on them, and it really, like, there's some amazing people in this town. So,
what do you think surprises people the most when they finish with the academy?
Oh, that's a good question. I think probably, officers have to make split-second decisions, and by far and large, police are good. There's a few bad apples in any career or any profession, I would say, but it's never a mistake of the heart, I think, for the most part. By far and large, it's usually not a mistake of the heart on the officer's behalf, but I think it's a lack of training in certain areas. And I think when they finish the academy, they see all the split-second decisions that have to be made and the hard decisions and everything, how it evolves so quickly. I think when they see that side of it from our perspective, they have a little bit more compassion and understanding.
What do you hope the participants will walk away with and to sort of better understand about your police work when they're done this?
Well, I think just that, like I said, with the ability to have to make that split-second decision in a sometimes a chaotic environment, and the officer just being able to be compassionate and show that kindness, but yet still hold that, what's the good word I'm looking for? Just to be able to maintain a level of control in that chaotic moment. Because let's be honest, when we meet people, sometimes it's at their worst, unfortunately, where, my position now, it's like a switch has flipped, and I usually meet people at their best moments at the Citizens Police Academy. So it's nice and it's refreshing, but it's also a chance that, we get to remind each other that, a lot of times there are bad moments in our lives, and just as an officer, we need to be professional and show that kindness and compassion during that incident. So
I think your role as an officer, there's a unique duality to it that I've always thought. So you have the law enforcement side that we all know about, whether it's traffic stops or you're responding to a call, but you're also our best ambassadors. So because you're patrolling neighborhoods, because you're in our parks. And I think sometimes people forget that they just see the one side of it. They see Officer English, who's really friendly with kids and out there maybe playing basketball, but then there's Officer English who still has to get in a car, lights and sirens, and go to possibly a domestic disturbance. And I think the Citizens Academy, in my mind, helps that. Like, I know it just from working with all of you. I know that there's that duality, but I don't think everybody realizes that all the time. They just think of police as law enforcement.
Yeah.
So who's eligible to attend the academy?
Typically adults. We have had teens that were in technical schools, if they're, interested in a law enforcement career. But I would say by far and large, it's mostly either retired or about to be retired folks. That we like to kind of go through the academy, and they love it. They really do. They love each week, each aspect that we talk about, and everyone that has been a part of it seems to enjoy it.
So is your current session full?
It is.
Okay. Do you have a waiting list typically, or is this just we get in and we stop?
Yeah, so we just cut it. We cut it. I'd say the deadline was last week or so. Only to that, but I just had 2 people reach out to me yesterday, and I was like, fill out the application. We'll take a look at it, and we approved them.
Great.
So,
So I'm going to switch gears on you. You mentioned kids from the tech school. In your role, do you have a plan to try to start recruiting people at younger ages to consider a career in what I think of as still a noble profession?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. This is one outlet for them. I think there's another outlet that we do as far as ride-alongs, and we kind of take them out on patrol, drive them around the town, so they have a chance to see maybe a traffic stop or two, or maybe, a call or two. Those are pretty much the ways that we've done it so far. And I think we haven't done anything as far as, I would say, anything else outside of that, where in Abington, where they're larger, they have more people that they can kind of host longer, like junior police academies. We have that as well, but the junior police academy is usually about a day or two, and it's geared towards younger kids, about 8 to 14 years of age. But that teenage, we kind of, if they're willing to, we had some that they took it about 2 years ago, and they enjoyed it. In fact, I saw one of them at the tech school last year, and they were very excited to see me. So
one of the things we talked about too is the North Penn High School has a job fair. And the township, for the first time had a table there. And we had multiple departments to show that, yes, there are, obvious careers like law enforcement, fire, but there's also roles on, the back end. There's roles in the office. There's roles in public works, and they all have different requirements as far as skill set, training, education. So I think the idea of getting with tech school kids at a young age where they're starting to think careers and what they want to do down the road makes a lot of sense. So let's go back to Citizens Academy since I digressed. What topics do you typically cover during the academy? And what are the most popular ones that people really get, wound up about?
Sure. So like I said, in week 1, we kind of do the introduction and we kind of talk about the history of the police department. We mentioned about Officer David Hancock and when he passed away in the line of duty. We talk about red light cameras, the new Crime Watch page where, this is something that you guys put through on Crime Watch last year. And I think it's very beneficial for residents that are in the town. That website has upcoming events and alerts. They got a camera registry. So if there is maybe a theft that happened in the area overnight, somebody may have a camera and they can upload that info to us, or we can reach out because, when I first started 15 years ago, if we had a theft from a vehicle, you'd have to go knocking on every door to see if they had a camera. And a lot of times they weren't home because they were working. So it made it real difficult to try and do those follow-ups where I think this social media site is great because you can register your camera and then we can kind of reach out to you and say, hey, do you have any footage at this time that may be beneficial to us? So I think that's great. And then also we have different things on there. Like if we have a crime that had taken place and we need somebody to help identify this actor, there's things on there like that. But, and that's also where you can get the application for the Citizens Police Academy. So it's
comprehensive.
Yeah, it has a lot on there. In week 2, we talk about the detectives. And they go over like their thought process for crime scenes. And then we also, I'm trying to get, I believe they're going to be showing up, but it's the FBI from Fort Washington. And that's kind of where they want to talk about Violent Crime Task Force and go over kind of how they handle that. And we have the Highway Safety Unit. They kind of go over all their gadgets and toys that they have. And, they have an extensive amount of training to go through.
I thought you were going to say they have an extensive amount of toys. I was going to say, we'll probably take exception to that.
That too. But so they deal with, serious and fatal crashes. So they have to have the best gadgets. They have to have the best knowledge and training in that area. We also have the K9 unit come out. They do a demo,
that's a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, the residents love it. We do a small block of defensive tactics, and believe it or not, they love it. They love seeing some demos and the reasons why we're doing the things that we're doing. And it's just trying to keep everybody safe, ourselves safe, and anyone else out there safe. We also have the FATS training. So that stands for it's firearms tactic training, and it's a simulator, and it's basically like a shoot, don't shoot. And things can either rapidly unfold pretty quick, or it's just it's a training simulator to help being able to process things.
And are they able to use it?
Yeah. Yeah, we do it at the Bucks County Training Center. And again, that's something that they like because then it's kind of like it's as close as reality as possible where they have to react based on whatever this person is doing and the commands that they're giving them. That simulator will change and vary. And it's not the same. For one person, it'll be one way. And for another person that lines up, it'll be a totally different set of circumstances that will happen. So that's a fan favorite. And then we kind of do mock traffic stops. And I think that's where the pieces and the gears really turn, and they start seeing it from a different perspective. And they go, wait a minute, man, there's a lot of dangerous things that can happen on a traffic stop, or just there's a lot of things that can happen. There's a lot of things to look for, a lot of things to deal with in, a traffic stop that can only take a couple of minutes.
So where do you do that?
And that's in the front parking lot here. So we either do in the front parking lot, depending on the weather and the time. We've done it in our Sally Port, but that's also a fan favorite. They love it.
So it's not just sort of classroom setting. They actually get a feel for what it's like in an everyday patrol environment for you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's times where they get hands-on for sure.
Do you talk about any safety or legal topics?
So we do talk about the red light cameras, anything that's, new and upcoming. Like last year, we touched base on it. I'm going to touch base on it again briefly, probably in the first week. And then when the highway safety unit, when they do their block, I have a packet, they can read it, and any questions they can ask them. But since we have that new location on Horsham and Stump Road, I figured it'd be probably appropriate to kind of go over that again. We go over fraud and scam alerts, because that's always, those scam alerts are always like, they're never ending in the ways that they'll try to scam you out of stuff. And then we usually, each block of classroom stuff that we have, there's always questions that arise. And that's where I think the meats and potatoes is. It's like after they hear what we have to say, they're already brainstorming questions. And I think that's where it like gives that chance for that dialogue back and forth and to really create those relationships.
I was going to ask you, what are like some of the common questions that, because now this is your third year doing it. I would imagine people have the same, ideas, and then they like, okay, question,
Yeah, well, off the top of my head, I feel like this really happens when it comes to traffic stops. Because a lot of times I'll be like, okay, you're going to stop this car, for whatever you want. And a lot of times they stop it for the reason that they were stopped before in the past. So it's kind of funny. It's like they'll give like, I had expired registration or a brake light was out, whatever, so they'll do that. But then, they really do ask questions of, well, why did this officer kind of do it this way versus that way? And sometimes it can be about laws, and the laws change and they update. Or just, it really all depends. But I feel like that's a class where when we do the mock traffic stops, those questions arise. When we talk about defensive tactics, some questions arise with that as well. And it's just, it really is, it's great. It's great to have that.
What level of attendance is required to be a graduate of the Citizens Police Academy?
Well, not many people miss a class. I feel like it's here and there, like maybe, one or two classes are missed and that's it for the entire session. So there's no real requirement. But yeah, everyone usually, if they start it, they finish it without really missing any classes. So I thankfully I don't have to worry about that.
Do you have any rules about participation? Like when they come in, or there's certain things they have to know and abide by?
Yeah, so I guess the most important thing is we have ID badges that we hand out. And obviously, that doesn't authorize anyone to act or identify themselves in any manner of official capacity as a member of the Montgomery Township Police Department. So we have that in there. And then the other one that I guess is pretty important as well is portions of this instruction that we may talk about in class. They're detailed and may be confidential of nature and sensitive. So we kind of treat that information accordingly. And kind of what happens in the classroom kind of stays in the classroom type deal.
But I think that's good too, because it sort of, again, gives them a snapshot of what your life is like. You come across things, you can't just go and talk to them, about it with everyone else. You can't necessarily go home and talk about it. So I think that gives them a good framework as well. This is my favorite. Are there any reading assignments or homework with this?
Well, so when they do start, the first day I make this binder for them, and it kind of has some of the things that we already mentioned in there. That they can kind of look through. It has like their schedule, kind of the rules, and then some other things in there. And then I also have, this year, I decided to kind of change things up a little bit. And I wouldn't say it's going to be homework, but it's volunteer homework. Like if they want to do this, I'm not making anyone do it. But the first class I'm going to ask, and what this is it's from Unsolved Case Files, and it's a fake case, but I find it really interesting. Me and my wife did this, and it's actually very hard. But you can get this online on Amazon for like $30, and it literally has the police interview all the interviews that they did with the suspects. It has case photos. It has business cards in here. It has websites. You name it, it has it. And you have to figure out who the killer is. And what happens is you have to use your investigative skills to kind of go through everything. So I was going to do this on a week-by-week basis because there's 3 objectives. And by the 3rd objective, you'll figure out who the killer is. So I was thinking it'll take them about 3 weeks to kind of go over. But it's not easy. It's not something you can do in 1 hour. You need to spend a lot of time sifting through this and kind of really researching all the evidence that's here to put it all together.
So it's like the game Clue on steroids.
Yes.
Or for someone who watches every CSI that's ever been made and says, I can do this. I can do this. And I can do it in an hour because that's what I see on television.
And you put it to practice. Yeah. You try out your skills for sure. So that's one of them. And then, again, I just wanted to try and add something a little different this year. And that was bringing in the FBI from Fort Washington to talk about their violent crimes task force. So those are the 2 things that I'm looking to do as well.
What kind of feedback do you generally get from participants when they've completed it?
They love the program. They really do. And like I said, just throughout the 8 weeks, I don't know how, but it just over the dialogue and the questions they ask and the answers we give, you just end up building this like relationship with them. And they, we ask if they want to be volunteers for events throughout the year as well. And that gives more time to like kind of get to know them more on a personal level. And everyone I talk to, they love it. So
I've seen some people at National Night Out at the tables, and I was wondering how they came to be, because obviously they're not employees, they're certainly not police officers. And now I understand what you're doing. You're funneling volunteers for our events, which is great.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they love to, so they help us out throughout the whole year. It's great.
So have you seen the Academy result in like sort of alleviating people's misconceptions or complaints about what they think are normal police practices?
Yeah, again, because it opens up that dialogue for them to ask questions when maybe a certain topic comes up. And I feel like a lot of times it's something that has personally happened. It may have happened to them or a close family member, or maybe something they've seen on the news and they just want to ask about it. So when they do, we kind of break it down, we talk about it. And then throughout those 8 weeks, they kind of have a complete picture of a different perspective. And it really does, I think it really does help reduce that. And they have a better overall understanding of everything on both sides.
So being a member of an accredited police department, actually one of the premier accredited departments, how do you think our Citizens Police Academy is set apart from some of the others that are run?
Well, I would imagine, I think it's probably the same as far as like a lot of they bring out their detectives, they have a canine unit, they probably do mock traffic stops. But I think what sets us apart, I truly believe this, is we have very knowledgeable, proactive, and compassionate patrol officers out there that would put up against anyone in the county. They are some really phenomenal and amazing people. Our detectives are very methodical and detailed in their investigations. Our highway safety unit, they help create the North Penn crash team. They have extensive and rigorous training. And again, because they have to investigate these fatal crashes. We have 2 members that are on the SWAT team. One of them actually trains the entire Central Montgomery County SWAT team. He does all their training, and he is the man to do that. I mean, he is phenomenal. He's very captivating. He's very knowledgeable. And it just goes to show like the kind of quality that we have here in Montgomery Township.
Well, I think we've talked enough about Citizens Police Academy. You have any closing remarks you want to make? Want to do any kind of recruitment for your next one?
Oh, my next one. All right. No, I thank you for the time today. And I hope if your listeners haven't had the chance to take the Citizens Police Academy, I urge them to give it a chance and try to make time for it. And I just want to thank you for being a big supporter of it, because without your support, this wouldn't happen. So I just want to thank you as well.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Montgomery Township podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and follow Montgomery Township on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at MontTWP. Our display name is Montgomery Township, PA. Until next time, We are Montgomery Township.